Welcome to the third video in my Alpha 20 in-depth series, where I discuss some of the changes coming in 7 Days to Die Alpha 20 and analyse the community response, as well as what effect I think these features will have. Really quickly before we begin, and I do say this in every video in this series, there is almost no gameplay for Alpha 20, so everything you see on the screen is my own modded gameplay, but I'll let you guys know when you're seeing actual footage from the developers. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, remember to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the rest of the series as they come out. I'll be continuing my tutorials as well into Alpha 20. Anyway, with that out the way, let's go over one of 7 Days to Die's long-awaited and most anticipated features, the robotic drone. The robotic drone, formerly named the junk drone, was first shown on Twitter all the way back in March of 2020. That's 2020, not 2021. It was initially supposed to be coming in Alpha 19 alongside the robotic sledge turret. It never made it into Alpha 19, of course. At the time, the fun pimps did say that the robotic drone would come out in one of the patches in Alpha 19, but we never saw that. Although in all fairness, there is still time for a hypothetical Alpha 19.6 to add the robotic drone, but all reports from the developers do seem to indicate that the robotic drone is now an Alpha 20 feature. What is the robotic drone? The robotic drone is planned to be the tier 3 of the robotic weapons category, which includes the robotic sledge and the turret. The idea is that you can place it down in your world and it will follow you around and assist you in various ways. Or at least, back when the feature was announced, that was what it would do. But that seems to have changed quite a bit since then. Originally, the drone was supposed to have a shock attack that was to stun zombies, similar to how the stun baton shock works now. This has since been removed. It was also supposed to originally have a medical beam that it would use on you at 50% health if you gave it some medical items. As far as I can tell, this feature has been removed in favour of being able to sacrifice a mod slot to give you passive health regen from the drone. Madmole has said on the forums that a mod needs to be equipped on the drone for it to heal you, but he didn't elaborate further on if you still need to give it medicine or if it still has its old healing beam. It also used to have 16 storage slots, but this may have been changed due to the new cargo mods that were announced. The devs haven't elaborated further on how much storage the drone has or how much storage the cargo mods will give, but they have said that the cargo mods are stackable. It seems, since the first time we've seen it, the drone has changed a lot. But now on to some more features that we never knew about in the first place. Fatal, I think that's how you say his name, lead programmer at the Fun Pimps, has said that the drone should be a separate count from the other robotic weapons, which I think means that we can have our maximum 2 turrets as well as a drone at any given time. He's also implied the possibility of having more than one drone at a time, but the developers seem to be leaning towards only having one per player now for balance reasons. Both Fatal and Madmole have clarified the primary purpose of the robotic drone is to be a pack mule, and they think that's what the players will use it for most. And given how many of you appear to be loot goblins, that is probably a correct assumption. But Madmole has clarified on some of the other mods that are equipable on the drone, including the teddy bear mod, which we have seen on almost all images of the drone since it was first shown, which is meant to give passive stamina regen boosts, and a flashlight mod, which I think is fairly self-explanatory. Even though the drone has now taken on a more passive role than it originally had, it seems to have armour, despite Fatal saying the drones and zombies, quote, do not care about each other. Perhaps the armour is supposed to fill a more PvP need to stop players killing your drones as easily. But once again, the devs seem to think that the cargo mods are going to be the main appeal of the drone. I can already see the comments. I've waited for over a year for this feature and they've completely gutted the entire mechanic. It's gone from a companion to a portable chest. And you know what? You're right, they have. It is a shadow of what was once promised, and it is a year late, as it was originally supposed to launch with Alpha 19, and then they moved it to Alpha 19.2, now it's an Alpha 20. That's pretty hard to defend. The smallest thing I could say to defend those choices is at least they didn't put the drone in the game before it was ready, and maybe they thought the original concept for the drone was too powerful. After all, players didn't actually get to test how it works in-game, so we don't really know how broken the original mechanics were. I do think that once this drone is released, it's going to live in its own shadow, and I am dreading seeing the community response when it releases, when people start comparing it to what they were originally promised, back in Alpha 18. Overall though, the community seems mostly positive about the addition. I have seen a lot of people getting quite upset about how quote unquote futuristic it is, and all I can say to that is that Joel, or Mad Mole, has recently reaffirmed that the apocalypse in 7 Days to Die started in 2034. And that's not to say that's when the game is set, but that's when the apocalypse started. And as far as I'm aware, we don't actually know how long it's been since then, but it does mean that the drone is not a particularly futuristic feature. I mean, Amazon uses drones to deliver baked beans to your house. It's not a futuristic concept anymore. I'm sure in 13 years, in 2034, drones will be everywhere. So I really don't see the drone as a massive immersion breaker, but I'm sure some of you old timers will still see this as Star Trek shit and hate it anyway, and I can't really fix that. Anyway, moving on. So what effect do I think this will have on the game? Well, in my opinion, it will first of all completely spit on the partially unburied, maggot-filled corpse of the Pack Mule perk. But each and every one of you knows that I am completely biased against that piece of shit perk, so I'll talk about something else instead. No, but more seriously, I think this feature has huge, and I cannot overstate, huge implications for the modding scene. You see, what the Fun Pimps have essentially done with this new drone is lay the framework for companion AI. Now, the Fun Pimps have basically said that they're not interested in adding companions anymore, but this drone will provide a basic system for modders to build off of. I don't think it would be particularly hard to remove the flying, borrow some pathing and combat from the other AI, and give it a wolf skin. Congrats, you now have a wolf follower. Something players have been asking for since about 45 BC if my calculations are correct. Now, I'm not saying I'm smart enough to do that, but 7 Days to Die is one of those communities with certifiably insane modders with mega big brains that could convert the drone into something more interesting. And we have to give the Fun Pimps credit for doing the hard part at least. For those of you that don't know much about game development, creating a reliable AI for something that has to follow the absolute nonsense a player can get up to is pretty hard, especially in a game with as much destructibility as 7 Days to Die, where you have to cover so many edge case scenarios or the universe will explode. If you don't believe me, look at games like Mass Effect and Fallout or Elder Scrolls, which have 5 to 10 years to develop and huge AAA budgets, and they still can't get the companion AI to not shoot you in the back of the head, jump off of cliffs, or run directly at the enemies and get giant clubbed up to the Skyrim International Space Station. So the fact that the junk drone took this long to make is actually understandable in my opinion. But what about you? Are you excited to play with this new drone? Are you annoyed at the changes it's had over the last year? Let us know down in the comments. And while you're down there, maybe leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. But with that guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.